cómo es de cariñoso con su mujer? Uy, se la pasa todo el día besando y acariciando a su esposa. ¿Por qué tú no haces lo mismo?
Pues porque yo ni conozco a su esposa.
¡Hielo! ¡Omi! ¡Omi bacalao! Este año Thanksgiving va a ser en mi casa y a mí me tocó el arroz con gandules. Tú sabes que lo mío es la comedia, no la cocina. ¿Tú me puedes enseñar, por favor?
Vas a coger tu caldero, le vas a dar la vuelta con el aceite una vez. Vas a coger la misma cuchara con la que se sirve el arroz, vas a coger el sofrito y ¡fua! Para allá. Y vas a coger un puño de cilantro, ¡fua! También.
Un puño de cilantro, ¿y eso cómo se mide?
Picas tus vegetales chiquitos.
Ay, no, yo sé mucha información.
Vas a lavar el arroz 3 veces.
3 veces. Ni yo me baño tanto. Pero no le vamos a echar adobo.
El adobo, la cantidad que te dé a tu corazón. Después de ahí, menea que te menea. Es lo más fácil que hay, nena.
Claro, lo más fácil que hay.
Pues tú me dices, ok, está bien, bye.
Que se chave. Yo voy a ordenar Uber Eats.
That's how I feel as well. Good afternoon. Good evening, familia. This is Ray Collazo, the host of the Founded Translation Bomba Live simulcast. Founded Translation is a show that stacks truth about politics and today's hottest issues. And Bomba Live, of course. Let me put the banner up. It's the virtual Puerto Rican celebration. Let's show it loud and proud. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for watching this as a live video show, which you can watch on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, a la 9 in Puerto Rico, 5 o'clock on the west side, and whatever time it is in Arizona. And, of course, you can also watch us as a YouTube show on Founded Translation or Bomba Live's YouTube channel, as well as a podcast, anywhere you can download a podcast, and on the radio as a radio show at WPPMLP 106.5 in Philadelphia, the city that loves you back. Thank you so much for joining us on this very special Valentine's edition of Founded Translation and Bomba Live. Later on in the show, we're going to talk to Dr. Ana Lopez, our resident sex expert. Yes, I said it. We're going to talk about intimacy during the COVID-19 season. It's been a bit challenging, or maybe it's been a boon for your love life. We'll have that conversation later in the show. And in a moment, we'll be joined by my co-host, the Dominican queen of TikTok, Dionely Reyes, a prominent podcaster and analyst of community issues, who's going to join us to talk about the news headlines of the week. A lot going on in Washington, obviously. And there's an issue in Miami that's having a big impact, not only in the Puerto Rican community, but in the food scene down in South Florida. We want to get into in a second. But, you know, when I thought about this episode, I really thought it was important to not only begin this conversation, begin the Valentine's edition, first of all, for giving a shout out to my Valentine, my wonderful wife, Michelle Collazo, who put up with me with my dream and my palatial studio here with podcasting and taking up a significant part of our house. But all jokes aside, what a wonderful person. And, I had a crush on her. I always tell my friends that are going to join in a second. I had a crush on her since I was 14 years old. Didn't have the guts to talk to her until I was 28. Hey, good things take time, and sometimes it takes, patience is a virtue, whatever the phrase is. But love is such a big part of our lives, and we're so blessed to have so much love in our lives, not only with our relationship, but relationship with our children and family. And that's such a big part of what we want to have talk today, because, a lot of times people talk, the conversation on Valentine's Day is about flowers and chocolates and the hustle of Valentine's Day, when in fact, true love is a marathon, not a sprint. And what is the connection with some couples, like we're going to talk to in a moment? How does community service and giving back to others center our relationships? So with that, let me introduce, really brothers and sisters of mine and my family. Just to say friends is really an understatement. And two folks that are just very special to me, special to our community, particularly for the Latino community in the great state of Pennsylvania. And two of the craziest lovebirds I know. How about let's say hello to Isamac and Isamac Figueroa. What's up, family?
Hey, what's going on, Rob?
We got to hold on. I got a trick for you, brother. Hold on. We got to have Isamac in the middle.
So there we go.
Hello. Now we're talking.
I'm between two handsome men. What a better way, right?
I tell you, Isamac. Happy Valentine's pre-days to you both. Happy 2021. We're a little past Three Kings, but of course, felicidades to you and our family out there in the great region of the 222 corner of Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for joining us. Angel and Isamac, I wanted to have you two on the show for a lot of reasons. First of all, it's way overdue. And thank you for all the support you've been to this program since it started as just an idea in my head as a podcast almost 8 years ago. But I wanted to have you begin this conversation today because, I mean, y'all are in it. You know, that's a commitment you two have, not only as a married couple, but in the moment we're going to talk about your commitment to the city of Reading and our community. So why don't we just start there? Because this wonderful relationship started somewhere. So Isamac and Angel, where did your romance begin?
Well, honey, if you want to start, I'll go ahead and then I'll expand upon that.
Well, sure. I mean, it started with 717-290-7261. Those were the infamous 7 digits that radically changed my life forever. And I had to muster up the courage to reach out to this beautiful, intellectual Puerto Riqueña that every Puerto Rican young boy would ever want and desire to be with. So I'll just throw out the fact that we've been together for 26 years, married 21, and it all started with those 7 digits. So I'll toss it back to my lovely wife, Isamac.
I mean, Ralph, first of all, let me just say we are so excited to be on your show because we've been following you for years now and the movement that you're creating online for our community. So thank you very much for continuing to represent, you know, and to Angel's point, Angel, from the moment we met, he's always been the charmer. You know, there was a connection right away. There's that spark. And the moment we met, that was it for me. And I know Angel feels the same way. I mean, my goodness, honey, it's been now 26 years and counting. We're married with 2 girls who are healthy, beautiful, doing well in school. And besides our love for one another and what we've been able to create with God's will, we also have created a lot of benefit and a lot of opportunities for our community. So as Ralph said, you know, as we kick off Valentine's Day weekend, it's finding the secret sauce that makes every relationship work. And in this case, marriage. Marriage is one of the toughest relationships that anyone could have, let alone being a parent, because it's about work. It really is. It's about respect. It's about work. It's about dedication, communication. But it's also about being fun. Like Angel and I, one of the things that drew us together in the very beginning was the fact that we love to smile. We love living life. He loves to dance. He loves to cook. He loves music. These are all the best qualities you can have in a guy, right? And the fact that he's Puerto Rican, mejor todavía. Esa labia, ese dulce vida que él siempre quiere, that's immediately drew me to him immediately. Then the fact that when we met, I was in college. He was working for a nonprofit in downtown Lancaster. I was at Millersville University. And he reached out through a mutual friend, Lillian Nice, as he said, those 10 digits that you so remember. So
I remember Lillian. Yeah, I remember her.
Yeah, he remembers. And Lillian Nice connected us. Lillian Nice was working for State Representative Mike Sturla as his executive assistant. And Angel was organizing an anti-drug march. And I was the president of SOLA at Millersville, Society on Latino Affairs. I was one of the co-founders. And Angel wanted to get to some of the Latino students on campus to help out with coordinating the march. Well, that was it. The moment we met, that smile on his face from literally the moment I entered the room to when I left, I was like, oh, there's something special here. And our love for community has been there since. It has not changed. My husband and I, we work hard through our professions, you know, Monday through Friday to provide for our families. But then in the evenings and the weekends, we're working hard to advance the Latino community in Pennsylvania. So that's what keeps us going, believe it or not. You know, we're one of those few couples that people ask, how the hell do you do it? You guys are around each other 7 days a week. Yeah. We've worked together. Many couples can't even live together, let alone work together. And we've done that. We've done that.
No,
it's really a love for one another, Ralph. It boils down to, you know, it's really boils down to self-love, self-respect. Once you have that internally and you immediately connect with that other human being, for me, it just comes natural. You know, we really do love and respect one another. And you got to keep them going.
That's so well said. You know, one of the things that is telling about your relationship is that frequently Angel will comment to, you know, me and the fellas that, you know, Isamac pushes me to be all I can be.
Yeah.
And not just encourage you to strive, but push you to say, even when you don't believe it, Angel, she believes you. So talk to us about that dynamic in the relationship, Angel. That's really special, and vice versa.
And it's very it's a good way I'm transitioning on how just to piggyback off Isamac, it wasn't that it was never easy to try to really fall in attraction with someone as beautiful and as intelligent with Isamac. Of course, she is physically beautiful, but more than anything, what drove me and wanting to be next to her is her intelligence and how she spoke and how articulate she was. And I was brought up in the ghettos of Jersey City, and it was like if you came across someone that spoke as well as Isamac, it was like finding a diamond in the rough. So I think that when I met Isamac, I'm thinking, my God, here is a female that's in college. She speaks well. And I just became so attracted with just the way she spoke, let alone her physical appearance. And I'm thinking, what can I do? Or what can I even say? It was, for a minute, it was very intimidating because honestly, I never came across a Puerto Rican female like her. To be real, I just never did. And so meeting her, I'm thinking, how do I make this happen? How do I make her, try to hook up with a guy like me that, let alone, I didn't have anything. I didn't have a degree. I didn't have my bachelor's degree, my master's. I didn't have nothing. All I had was a blue shirt and a pair of blue jeans and running a program. And I'm thinking, what can I do? And all I remember was going back to where I was living and looking up. And some people may say, that's kind of corny, but it wasn't corny for me. I looked up at the stars and I said, God, I'll tell you what, if you let this female be with me, I will the rest of my life. And look, here we are. And let alone, I have to say this, that as a kid, my mom took me to La Fiesta Patronal in Puerto Rico, Ay Bonito. And here's this kid from Jersey City at this big concert. And I was just memorized by seeing La Famosa Iri Chacon. I was like, wow, that lady is amazing. And I in my mind, that always stood with me. And I'm thinking, that would be the ideal Puerto Rican female. And, I could say that, of course, my wife, Isamac, is much prettier and much beautiful than Iri Chacon. But,
oh my God.
So it's those little things that drove me to wanting to be better in everything that I did and knowing the standard that she set from the get-go. She set the standard. She says, look, I come from a beautiful family, a family of pioneers and trailblazers in the city of Reading. And she broke it down. She said, look, you got to make sure you get your college degree. You got to go back to school. You got to be gainfully employed. So her being as candid, but as gentle and as kind to me and giving me that inspiration to be the man that I'm today. I say it all the time that Isamac is a spine that goes up my back. And she holds me together. And, I think collectively we have been very fortunate to be where we're at today. It's been, of course, a collective effort. We never forget the days that we would drive for hours without listening to radio. And matter of fact, se me pone los celos when I'm driving to Jersey and she's on her phone. I'm like, listen, whatever happens in these days when we used to talk and converse for hours. But, it works for us, and it has been working this long.
That's so beautiful. And Isamac, the not only did you push Angel and, hold him to a standard you knew he could get to, but you knew you had to be there to give him that encouragement and that self-confidence. But also, it's been beautiful to see how he supported you over the years as well.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. I mean, how can you not, as a woman, us as women, we look for not only love and support, but we look for encouragement and, someone that's going to constantly boost our esteem. I mean, look how my husband describes how he met us. And he's consistent when he says that story, in the sense of how he felt. And even though I think, my God, being compared to Iri Chacon, come on, she was the entertainer back in the from like the 80s to like the 90s and probably even before that. Beautiful Puerto Rican entertainer. There's no way I can move like 80s, but what he saw was that external beauty. And for me, beauty it's much deeper than the superficial. For me, the beauty is being able to care for yourself and love yourself. And when people see that level of confidence, it's a magnet. They want to be around it. And when I met Angel, I could see immediately his potential. Angel may have not had at that moment when we met the degrees, nor was he on the path to pursue his degrees, but I knew he had the fire, the determination, the capacity to be able to reach the stars. It was just a matter of being surrounded about like-minded people and people that are going to lift them up. And that's exactly what we did. You know, we lifted each other up and we continue to do so. We inspire one another to the point where others constantly ask us, what do you do? One, we give each other space. We respect each other's boundaries. At the end of the day, you know, we have sometimes very similar, but also different, you know, interests. When I go to kind of chill out and de-escalate from a long week, it's a completely different method than what Angel does. And that's okay, because the reality is that giving each other space also gives us the ability to be better people when we are around one another, you know? And I love that about him. He gives you my space, I give him his. And we're all about family, Rafael. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, what holds us together is not only our love for our kids and our extended family, but the love of the work that we do for our community. That has always been the initial connector from, you know, between us, always. And it still continues to be so. Like, I can't picture my life in public service without my husband. We are each other's biggest fans. We promote each other with con calor, with desire. And let me tell you, just as much as we promote each other, we also protect one another. As we are each other's, you know, kind of, you know, personal therapists. And it helps. We take our walks when necessary. Yeah. So he's always said it, we're each other's best friends. And we know we have something special, but it takes work. Like, to keep that fire going and keeping it fun, we've got to take those weekends getaways. You know, we got to try fun things. We have to do role playing. We have to be able to tell each other fantasies and do our best to fulfill those. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, we're human. You know, we're going to have our moments, but as long as we're focused on what's important to our loved one, that's what matters. And we show it. And we've been, God bless, we've been together for a very long time. And God willing, we will continue to be to the day we leave this earth. And
we're talking to Angel and Isamac Figueroa, great friends to the program and really family to our Bomba Live Found Translation family. Our co-host, Dionely Reyes, is in the queue. She'll be joining us in a second to be part of this conversation on the Valentine's special here on the program. And a little later, we'll have sex expert Dr. Ana Lopez will be in the house. So that's going to be an interesting conversation. But before we go on our first break, Isamac, I want to ask you specifically, let me tell you something. I know for a fact what's going on out here. And there's some women watching this. Let's be honest about it. You know, there's a lot of great women out here. Not enough men for all these great women. Let's be honest about it. And they're saying, wow, Isamac got a good thing going on. Isamac, I'm out here single. I don't have, you know, like.
I know it.
To have that same qualities. What you're doing, talk. I know you give a lot of women advice and a lot of people advice because let me tell you something. What you said is so real. Because look, you know, especially you know, and me and Angel as homies have talked about this. That when you're a high achiever and you're trying to strive for so much, not only for yourself but your family and the community, you feel like you're falling short every day. You know, and I just had some good news on the work career stuff, which I'll announce in the coming weeks. But you know that was like in my mind like 6-7 years overdue. You know, so the stress of that, and it takes a partner, in my case, Michelle, and Angel's case, Isamac, to be like, look, it's God is going to give you this opportunity when it's the time. And you can't let this lack of a title impact who you are as a person, because you still care about people. You're still giving us your gifts. The title's sort of secondary, if not even important. So Isamac, back to the ladies. Give them some advice, girl, because I know they don't have the same Valentine's plans you got, and they're wondering, what am I doing wrong, or what's the secret that what could I be doing to kind of attract the kind of person that I can hold to the same standards that Angel and Isamac are holding to each other?
Listen, ladies, for those of you out there that are wondering what it takes to be in a healthy relationship, not just any relationship, but a healthy relationship. First and foremost, you have to love yourself first, ladies. You cannot go out there looking for a relationship thinking that by looking for someone to fulfill a void that you yourself have to find. And what I mean by that is that you have to be content in your life. And I truly believe once you found your path and you know who you are, you're confident, you're happy, you're in a safe place, it will come. And if it doesn't come, that's okay. I have family members and friends who are single women who are content and happy and not in a relationship. And that's great. That's what works for them in their life, But as long as you're in a relationship that respects you, that lifts you and inspires you and supports you along the way, that's what matters. I can't tell you exactly how to go out there. There's not a book per se. You just have to be able to know within your heart what you want in life and what you contribute in that relationship. I know many women too that have gone in and out of relationships. It's like a vicious cycle. They're constantly in and out of relationships, and they're good human beings. They really are. They just have not found that right person. And maybe they're going to go on life living like that. I would not want to see someone put so much time and energy into a relationship and not get out what they want. But I think it starts, honestly, Ralph, within. You have to make sure that you're ready for that relationship, that you're healthy, that you're happy, that you've reached a level of stability in your life. It's a really tough situation to be in when you're looking so actively and sometimes desperately to be in a relationship. If it doesn't work, mija, let it go. No vale. It's not worth being in a relationship where you don't feel good. You don't feel good? It's okay being by yourself. Seriously. It's okay.
You can be miserable on your own, right? I mean, and that's so important because and men go through it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
I tell people all the time, Michelle was like pretty much like my only real serious relationship as an adult, and I always felt for whatever reason, and I think ultimately it was because, I have a lot of confidence in certain things, but a lot of things I don't, and I went through my self-confidence. I don't have a girlfriend. And, you go through that. But the bottom line is that you can't ever, and settle's not the right word, but you can't just settle for less to make you happy.
Yeah.
And whether it's career stuff or family stuff and, whatever it is, it at the end of the day, it's God's plan. It's on God's schedule. So you just have to have that faith and that belief in yourself. And we're talking to Angel and Isamac Figueroa. We're going to bring Dionely Reyes into this conversation. And then get into the news headlines. But we're going to play a video that we debuted exclusively here on Bomba Live, the Puerto Rican celebration. We had the Boricua social media all-stars, all our wonderful TikTok and IG buddies. And we got a special video from Los Chamaquitos de Puerto Rico, Cadiel y Axel. And they're going to give us a great Puerto Rican elementary school lesson.
Bienvenido a la clase de español Boricua, parte 2. Mira tú. No seas caripelao.
Ok, cógelo suave que te va a dar un patatú.
Primera lección. En Puerto Rico no decimos wow. Decimos a rayo.
A rayo.
También decimos diache o qué brutal. Próxima palabra, algarete.
Algarete.
Utilicémosla en una oración. El gobierno está al garete.
Ese profe está al garete.
¿Qué tú dijiste?
No, nada, profe, mala mía.
Exacto. Tú no eres guapito. Próxima palabra. ¡Ay, bendito!
¿Qué significa eso?
No sé, pero se tiene que decir por lo menos 100 veces al día. Ahora viene el bono. Completa esta famosa palabra boricua.
Say what? Profe, yo no puedo decir esa palabra, yo soy un niño.
Pues tiene F.
Ay, bendito. Este profe está tostado.
By the way, tostado might be the best Puerto Rican word. I don't know.
I'm taking notes because my son's half Puerto Rican, so.
That point, they have a video for you later. I'm going to have a video for you in a second.
Palabra, wow.
Yeah, I just love those kids, and they'll be back on the show very soon. We're here talking to our community power couple, Isamac and Angel Figueroa, and our co-host Dionely Reyes has joined us. Dionely, how are you this evening?
I'm doing great, and I love seeing happy couples. I'm single. I'm super single, and I'm super happy. This is gonna be the best Valentine ever because I have found true love within myself.
Awesome.
And I know
that's beautiful.
And I'm already praying for my future forever husband. You know what I mean? Like for the first time, I'm like, why am I thinking about my future husband? I don't even know who he is. I know God has them out there for me, and I'm preparing myself and healing myself so that He'll have the best version of myself, and I can be the best version of Him too.
That's right.
So,
well, we're definitely
I'm not searching. That's gonna come cuando Dios quiera.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because it's always when you're not looking. That's when God sneaks up on you. And again, we're talking to Dionely, Isamac, and Angel. Before we get into a few of the news headlines, and we want to get Angel and Isamac's take on some of the things happening in Washington throughout the country. Angel and Isamac, just a thought about how the community work y'all have done has been such a glue to your relationship. Because there's a lot of people out there that are so committed. Our audience, they're very community oriented folks. A lot of people are doing advocacy around the country, and that connection between their personal lives and the community is very important to them. So just any thoughts about how that's been a big part of your journeys?
Absolutely. From the very beginning and from the onset, I think that our love for empowering people was very evident from day one. We both inspired each other. We both empowered each other. And we will often would want to spread that type of love and telling the community that this is contagious, right? That if you're doing positive things and if you have a positive mindset and you're demonstrating not just by words, but by action, great things will come out of that. I mean, look what happened to me. Just trying to organize an event and I found the love of my life. So, it radically changed my life. And just by doing a good deed, with not even asking for nothing in return. So that was the beginning point of many, many great things. And I could tell you many stories, but one that I'll leave you with, Isamac and I did an event at Millersville University, a Rock the Vote event. And it's funny because we met someone who was today one of the greatest hip hop artists in the world, who's a billionaire, and that was Jay-Z. Jay-Z opened up for KRS-One, and he actually went right by me. We shook hands. And I'm thinking, who is this skinny, young brother? And next thing you know, here he is 20 years later. It speaks to how long we've been involved around advocacy. We've led marches. We've led peaceful marches. And more importantly, as parents, right, our two daughters are actively involved. Olivia, who has blossomed into a 20-year-old beautiful Puerto Riqueña, she also has become active. And we don't sort of push anything upon them. It has to have its natural course. And I think that's why Isamac and I have done so well together, because I don't force anything upon her that she doesn't want to do. She doesn't force anything upon me that I don't want to do. It just gels together. And that's why it works so magically for us and the success that we have had throughout the years in organizing events. 2 years ago, she said, Angel, you're crazy. I was organizing the Penn Street Festival. And I said, honey, I'm in one chapter of my life. I'm closing my company. I want to throw the biggest party Redding's ever saw. And she was like, you're crazy, but I'm going to be with you. And we drew over 20,000 people in one day. It was the biggest event that Redding has ever saw. And it was a peaceful event. But she tolerates my craziness, which is a good thing.
I don't
tolerate. No question.
Ralph, and Dionely, nice to meet you. We complement each other because he's the visionary. I'm the one that's more on the details. So we work very well together. It's a wonderful marriage all around. It really is. But it's not crazy. What craziness is, and he's right. I didn't support him at first. Tú eres loco, pero te voy a apoyar. Pero es loco. Te vas a hacer un evento entre 2 meses. Es loco, una locura. ¿Cómo tú lo vas a hacer? Fíjate, yo quejándome y yo apoyando a la misma vez.
But vamos a hacer loco juntos. I love that. You guys are couples goals. I love
Thank you.
I love seeing you guys.
No question about it. Let's get into it. We want to get Isamac and Angel's take on some of the news headlines with us, and then we're going to invite our other special guest. You're certainly welcome to stay with us. Our sex coach, la doctora, futura doctora, Dana. Doctor, I keep trying to call her another name, but it is Ana Lopez. She'll be on in a moment. Dionely, let's get into a few headlines, and Isamac and Angel can continue commenting with us.
Absolutely. So former President Trump's impeachment trial continued today with House Democrats arguing Trump is still dangerous and needs to be held accountable. Congressman John Raskin told senators to use impartial justice and common sense when they take their votes on whether to convict Trump and bar him from ever running again. 5 people died and over 100 Capitol police officers were injured on the attempted coup that took place January 6th.
Ray, what happened to Republican Party and our nation if Trump gets away with treason again?
I definitely want to hear Isamac and Angel's thoughts on this, but if we allow this to go unchecked, but if you don't think this can, I mean, and we've all seen the footage and the TikTok of the last couple of January 6th, the last few days, we're lucky 30, 40 people, dozens of members of Congress didn't get killed. Mm-hmm. And then what would have had, our democracy was on a thinner ice than we even realized until we saw the coverage the last couple of days. Mm-hmm. And it's really about, are we like a real democracy and really trying to be a real country? Or are we like, something else that none of us signed up for, particularly people like your family, Dionely, that immigrated to this country and people that are trying to hustle to build a democracy. Isamac is a statewide leader of the Democratic Party, both former elected officials. People that really believe in our democracy and really believe this is a vehicle for our community, regardless of you start in the projects or the hood or as an immigrant, you could do something with yourself in this country because there's some level of fairness and justice and opportunity. That nonsense is not it. So it really is, it could happen again. It could happen worse, and he could run again, and he could do well again. I mean, let's not fool ourselves. I mean, those people are friends and neighbors. They're cops. They're, they're 7 out of 15 people voted for him. Just thank God 8 of us didn't. Yes. I mean, it wasn't, he's got a lot of support. Angel, as someone that was in the military, bro, I wanted to ask you this on a personal level. When you saw the footage about cops getting beat up and the treatment of our soldiers, our Capitol Police, a lot of them are people of color, just the disrespect, as if I thought that bent of our country, bro, and our flag. Yeah. That you saw the footage. I mean, how did that make you feel? I want to get Isamac take on.
Let me say this, man. I have both Democratic and Republican friends, and on that day, man, this was definitely a human American issue, and it brings me back to the day that Isamac and I took our daughter Olivia when she turned 10. We had special congressional passes to visit the Capitol, and this was the very same day that Sonia Sotomayor was being sworn in. The fact that my daughter Olivia was there, and it hurts me. It hurted me so much, you know what I mean, which was critical. So,
and Monty Press jumping. Excuse me, Isamac. What is so depressing is that Trump's terrorists wanted to kill cops and anyone in their way. No doubt about it, Monty. Isamac, please jump in.
I agree with Angel. I think, for me, it's the shocking state of crisis that our country is in as it relates to our democracy. Our country is beyond a crossroads. I mean, we are sending such mixed messages, especially to our children, as to what's permissible, what the office of the president should be doing, and even members of our elected Congress and House. The behavior and the results of what we've witnessed in the last year, even 4 years, for me, my jaw drops. But why it drops even more is just like you, Ralph, you called it early on in 2016. You said it. Don't be surprised if Donald Trump is not only the GOP candidate, but then becomes the president of the United States. And when you said those words, when you said them, I'm like, no, please, that can't be. And lo and behold, it came to pass. Yeah. So for me, as a strong Democrat, and mind you, there's many flaws within even our party. There's many shortcomings that I've even addressed. But at the tail end, I believe that we're on the right side. Even though I may not agree ideology with the Republicans, hands down, Donald Trump had to go. And I work around intelligent folks that are from all different backgrounds, all different races, even in my family, who supported Trump on certain issues. And it was shocking to me that he was able to have those people gravitate towards him. They could not decipher that this man was a liar, a bully. He was not fulfilling all the things that he said he would. And then to go what he did days before the new administration coming in, Biden-Harris, to incite violence. It's like, how can they not see through that?
No, and these are Republicans, and we'll see what happens with the vote in the coming days. Mm-hmm. But it's very likely that at least the vast majority of them, literally their lives were threatened as much as anybody a few weeks ago.
Yes.
And their families, Pence's family was there. Some of their children were there. Their staff people. Yes. And by the way, the Capitol Police, these are their co-workers. They deal with them. They work with them every day. They're working with them today and this week.
Yes, I know.
They're going to turn their back on these people because they're so spineless and they have such little respect for themselves and their families, their community, and much less our country. Dionely, let's get to the next headline.
So in other news, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said today that congressional Democrats hope to have the COVID relief bill signed into law by mid-March. Democratic leadership appears to support a $1,400 relief check or relief checks and pushes to life minimum wage to $15 an hour. Ray, should Latinos be excited about this bill, or is it too little too late?
Well, obviously from last year, we're way behind here, not just in relief packages, which, the Democrats passed the second one in May and nothing happened until December. But obviously the vaccines should have been way ahead of schedule. If we had some competent people in there, much more of us would have gotten the vaccine by now. So Democrats are playing catch up in the White House and on that piece of it. But the bottom line is that I know a lot of us focus on the check. Let's keep it real. A lot of us focus on, is it going to be 600, 1,400, 2,000? What level of people in the working class get it, don't get it? And the bottom line is that that's important. And I'm not saying we shouldn't focus on that, but this is very comprehensive. So the minimum wage piece, gets millions of our folks out of poverty. If they increase the child tax credit, that gets millions of our kids out of poverty. If they expand access to our immigrant families. So in the first package, and I know Dionely, the Dominican community, got hit with this tough, and even Puerto Ricans too. So if you were a citizen, but your partner wasn't, nobody in the family got any money or access to any resources. So that's something that got fixed somewhat in December, and we're looking to expand on. So I would just encourage people to reach out to your members of Congress, if they're Democrats or Republicans, and encourage them to say, look, hey, we need to get this bill done as soon as possible. And they're talking about mid-March. That's another, month, and people are going to get foreclosed on, and obviously there's a lot of impact on people. And then second of all, let's make it as inclusive as possible so our immigrant kids, our Latino kids, our children of color get access to the resources they need, whether it's testing, vaccines, resources so our schools can open safely, and some of these other public benefits we're talking about. Isamac, as a former nurse and someone in the health field, just really quickly, just your thoughts on why this is so important for our community.
Ralph, at the end of the day, if you look at the numbers across not only our state of Pennsylvania, but even nationally, those communities that have been most at risk and because of lack of access to health care, could be many reasons, language, transportation, health insurance, are Latinos, people of color. So, but at the same time, there is also this, I would say, lack of trust within the Western medicine. And, the media has exacerbated that amongst our community. So you've got two strikes, right, against Latinos in actually going to get this vaccine. But it takes people like you and I, the educated Latinos, the public Latinos, the ones that are out there promoting the importance of the vaccination so that we could create this herd community. This herd community. Community, yeah, in the sense of being able to get as many people vaccinated. So I'm always hopeful, always optimistic that we're doing that. And through our various positions that Angel and I are on, we're hearing good things. It's just, but the thing is also getting these folks to get vaccinated is going to be the biggest challenge, getting the information out to them in the community.
No question about it. And we're going to, Dionely, I'm going to just quickly touch on that last news item so we can get our next guest on and we can get the fifth member of this conversation involved. But I want to show a picture. Now, Isamac and Dionely, my guys here. What are their names, Dionely? It's on the, what is it? Is it Julian Gil and what's the name of the?
La Placita de Owner is owned by world-renowned chef Jose Mandin and novela star Julian Gil. Okay, let me ask Isamac and Dionely a question. If these two guys came to you for a permit to paint a beautiful Puerto Rican mural in the restaurant, would you say no to these guys? I mean, come on. Let's say no to these two fellas. Beautiful.
No, I mean,
it's a beautiful flag. They're beautiful.
Oh
it's beautiful. It's in Miami. And
it's in the art district, isn't it?
It's in the art district of Miami. It's a beautiful thing. These guys are, the guy's a big novela star. He's actually Argentinian descent, Julian. But, these are international celebrities, great restaurant. And these politicians in Miami, and I got connections down there. I was talking to people today. It's very personal. Some of the local, and I hate to say it, they're not, the Cubans, but I don't want to make this the Puerto Rican, the Cuban thing, but they're just hating on these guys because they have this beautiful mural. Everyone goes to their restaurant now. And, they're stealing a lot of thunder. So there's haters and they're trying to, fine them because technically they didn't get the right permit. It's nonsense. So much respect to our people down in Miami and La Placita. Let's keep fighting a good fight. Dionely, in your honor, I'm going to play this very special another fun video. Then we're going to bring on our other very special.
Dígame, vecino.
Hola, vecina, ¿me puede mover el cajo ese? ¿Y de qué usted ríe?
Como ustedes los puertorriqueños mencionan la R.
¿Y es que ustedes hablan con la I esa? ¿De qué tú hablas, ah?
Nosotros somos los originales del arroz con gandules.
Ni siquiera se dice gandule, es guandule.
Gandules.
Eso tiene que ser editado.
Y además, nosotros hemos ganado más Serie de Caribe en la pelota.
¿Y de dónde ustedes sacaron esa información?
Oh yeah? But you Dominicans don't know how to speak English.
Dije que no sabemos inglés.
Your fucking mother.
Ahora tú hablas español.
Wow, that hits you in the heart. I wanted to give everybody a good laugh. It's Valentine's edition of the Bomba Life Found Translation simulcast. We're having a wonderful time chatting with great friends and activists, Isamac and Angel Figueroa, and our co-host, Dionely Reyes. And now on the screen, long awaited, La Futura Doctora Certified Sex Coach Ana Lopez. Ana, thank you for joining the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, it's funny in the pregame, in the prep, I told Isamac and Angel, y'all are the first half of the show, and then we're going to bring our sex coach on so y'all can enjoy the rest of your night and sip on some wine and watch shows. They were like, "Are you kidding? We have questions." And Isamac, I don't kind of, she wants to represent.
Yeah.
So Ana Lopez, our Bomba Life sex coach. By the way, this is a very family oriented show, but if you want to let the kiddies go on their Xbox in the other room, I won't be offended for our audience out there. Why don't we start with this? Because the reason, let's keep it real. I wanted to bring on the show because we've been in this COVID situation almost a year. And, we always talk about the health impact and the impact on the school, but we don't really talk about how it's impacted people's personal relationships. So why don't we start there? Talk to us a little bit about your journey and how the COVID pandemic has impacted the life of Ana Lopez, the sex coach.
Yeah, so business is booming. People are actually having to face their problems, right? We're stuck. Well, I'm stuck at home, but I like being at home, so that's fine. But people are at home with their partners and oh shit, I have to spend how many hours in a day with this person that we maybe already had problems that we were kind of avoiding. So they're being forced to, face their problems. And as y'all may know, in the Latino community, we don't necessarily talk about our problems. So it's a lot's being uncovered. And so I have a lot of people reaching out to me, which is great. Yeah.
So let me ask you, so it's interesting because initially I'm thinking, it's, kind of single people or people kind of looking for love. And it's like, you're going to do the Zoom dating thing, that thing. What you're saying is these are people that are couples. And it's almost forced. COVID has forced them to address some of these intimacy issues that they already had in their relationship.
Yeah, definitely. And even single people, they're like, oh, well, maybe I don't feel comfortable being with a partner right now. I don't feel comfortable dating, right? And so they come to me because, they're like, oh, well, I have time for self-pleasure. So, can you help me out? I don't know what's going on. So, yeah, it's a little bit of both.
That's interesting. I put myself personally off stage and I was getting a little embarrassed by the whole situation. But look, it's a cultural thing, right? A lot of us, we're not taught to talk about. We're not even talk about money in our community publicly, right, much less intimacy. So why don't you give us some examples of what has been sort of, especially in this COVID-19 season, what has been sort of a one or two big messages you've had? Let's talk about the couples out there. Valentine's Day's coming up. They're probably trying to scramble for a socially distant babysitter situation. But tell us about the couples out there. What's been one or two big pieces of advice you've given them to cope and to have their sex life flourish during this time?
Yeah, so I definitely think bringing in what we already know about our people. So I specifically work with, my niche is la comunidad latina. And so I see, many Latino couples and individuals. But what we know is that we're a resilient people, right? And so to use that to your advantage, if you can be resilient when it comes to finding labor, when it's not easily accessible, or other resources, right? Like food and money and every other thing that we need to survive, you can figure out how to have sex when your kids are in the next room. You can figure it out. It's just we don't think about it in that way. And so it's about applying, their strengths that they already know that they have to,
the bedroom, to sex, to their sexuality.
This is awesome. So this is what I'm gonna do, Anna. This is my Valentine's Day gift for the ladies out there. I'm gonna bring my ladies back on stage. Dionely, Isamac, and me and Angel are gonna take a break. Me and Angel are gonna go drink a Corona. Let's give there's ladies out there that want to watch this. You obviously have a great expertise, help empowering women with their sex lives. So I'm gonna let Isamac and Dionely take it from here for a little while. I'm sure they have questions, and y'all can have that conversation. Well, this is what happens in our houses, right? Like the guys go play dominoes in the garage, and y'all have the real conversation. So I'll give you a moment to ask your questions to our sex coach, Ana Lopez.
I actually think the men should be a part of the conversation because it takes two, right?
Yeah.
I will say, Anna, it's nice to meet you. I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more because that's one area, Ralph hit it on the head. As Latinas, when we're growing up, we're not guided. We are not taught to talk about it. If anything, that's why there's a high percentage of teenage pregnancy nationally amongst the Latinas and the Latino community is because we don't talk, we don't educate in advance at a young age to tell young girls and young boys, about their bodies and, what are some of the things that they're going to experience when they hit a certain age. We leave it up to what? The experts. We leave it up to the schools to teach our children when it should be up to us. And I'll be honest with you, my mother never talked to me about that. It was like the birds and the bees talk, right? In the American culture. So I found out in school and I found out through friends. Now, I didn't have my first child till I was 28 because I saw what happened with girls my age that were very young, that were teenagers that became young moms. Very difficult for them. And I didn't want that for myself. I was on a path of higher education and that was what I was focused on. But now that I have daughters, my husband and I, he was like the first one, Isamac, you need to have that talk with our girls. We do not want to be young grandparents. But I will say what? I like the fact that intimacy has to be fun. You need to experiment. You need to explore. And who better than with someone that you love, right? For me. Now, there's a lot of people that don't have to love a person in order to make that connection, just to be able to fulfill that pleasure. But I just love the topic. I think we need to have more of these type of healthy conversations amongst men and women in the Latino community. So thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, definitely. I totally agree with everything that you said.
I see it.
When people contact you for consultations, do you only address the physical aspect of sex, or do you also talk about like the connected on a spiritual level, like mentally, or is it just like this is what you have to touch? And then,
so
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
a good question.
Yeah, and it's so funny that you mentioned that because people will come to me and like ask me like, so what am I here for? And I'm like, well, you signed up, so you tell me like what's going on, right? So people are just curious a lot of the times when they come, but my work, or at least the way that I approach it, is very holistic in nature. A lot of times we don't even end up talking about sex. Like we might start off by talking about sex, but it turns into like, oh yeah, my work life or my relationship or some other area in my life, like the kids are driving me nuts. And, it all impacts their sex life, and their sex life is impacting their outside life. And so a lot of times it can be too vulnerable at first or too, sensitive to talk about their sex life right away. So I'm totally open to talking about other areas of your life that you can then we work on that and then you can apply it to your sex life. Because I don't think that, we're holistic beings, right? And so everything impacts everything. And I'm not telling you like, hey, put your leg here and put your tongue here and this and that, right? I mean, I have like tips and tricks, but what we know is that everybody is different in what they like and their preferences and things like that. And so I like to provide options and resources that are, science-based and body safe. And also it's a lot of work on reframing, right? Not only is it educating, because a lot of people come to me with misinformation, like Isamac was saying, we in the Latino community, we don't talk about sex. And so it's about educating them like, your mom might have said this and I know you love her to death, but she's wrong. So let me tell you the correct information and we'll start from there. So we start from the basics, a very non-judgmental space, and then working on reframing, the stories that they've been telling themselves, like, oh, I can't do that. I can't initiate sex because I'm a woman. It's like you can, you're just telling yourself that you can't. And so it's a lot about reframing and figuring out what people want, because a lot of times they don't know what they want.
It's good. It's true.
Do you have more individuals reaching out to you, or is it a lot of couples, or is it about 50-50?
I would say I have more individuals than couples. I do have a lot of people that come to me as an individual that are also a couple. But I do have, singles as well. But I do have a lot of individuals that like reach out, like, hey, my partner doesn't know, kind of thing, which is totally fine. I mean, that's, up to you if that's what you want to do. But yeah, it's mostly individuals.
That's interesting. We're talking to certified sex coach Ana Lopez here on the Family Translation Bomba Life simulcast, the Valentine special. Much love to all the lovebirds, all the Valentines, and whether you're single, you're a couple, you're all very special to us here as part of the family. We're really happy we had a great conversation earlier with Isamac and Angel Figueroa about their incredible relationship. Now it's based in community service and giving back to others, and including their great family in Reading, Pennsylvania. And then, of course, the Dominican queen of TikTok, Dionely Reyes, has joined us, a prominent podcaster and life coach as well. Does a lot of personal development, supporting our community out here in los dos idiomas, inglés, español también. And to that point, and I know, Dionely, you had a particular dynamic you wanted to talk about with exes trying to come around on Valentine's Day. So I'm wondering if this is a dynamic, Ana, that you see in some of the consultations you do with your clients. Dionely, what was it called? Woofering? What was it called? You wanted to mention?
So my platform is about educating people how to identify, survive, and prevent emotional and psychological abuse. So there's like a cycle. A lot of people don't understand, like, well, why don't you just get out of the relationship? Just get out. Like, no, there's a cycle. There's love bombing is the first stage. Then I'm not going to go into detail, but these are, you could look it up, or we could do a special another day, right? There's love bombing. Then there's I'm usually saying in Spanish, the evaluación. I guess the evaluation, that's where they do the triangulation, the gaslighting, projecting, all of that. And then there's the descarte. That's when they dump you all of a sudden, or hopefully you're able to leave before that happens. And then there's the hoovering. Hoovering is like you finally left, you're broken up, maybe you still have feelings for that person, or maybe you're doing better, or you're single, or you moved on to a different relationship. But then they do hoovering. Hoovering, that terminology comes from the vacuum cleaner, Hoover. So they try to pull you back in and then do the love bombing again. And then you think like, oh, maybe he changed, it's going to be different. That happens a lot around this time, like around holidays, especially Valentine's Day. So there's like different tactics that they use. Do not offer this, ladies and gentlemen, because women do it too. So they may try to contact you through their family or friends. Oh, you should give this person another chance. They changed. Like, you already know what this person's about. So no, don't give them another chance to hurt you. Then there's where they say, oh, do you still have the hoodie I left at your house, or the something? Don't fall for that. Or did you call me? I think I saw a missed call from you. No. Or, oh, I'm sorry, this message wasn't meant for you. It was meant for someone else. Or, oh, so-and-so is sick. Can I talk to you? I think you should. No, don't fall for any of that. Like, no. At this close to Valentine's Day, para nada. You don't have time. I would say just don't even respond, just block them, move on. But especially this close to Valentine's Day, you know what they're looking for, and don't give it to them.
No question about it. So, Ana, let me ask you a question which sort of